Hey everybody, this is Gamer Junkie. I want to welcome you all back to my channel. So in this video, I want to talk about whether or not Max will use her rewind powers in issue 7 or 8 of Life is Strange Waves, the comic series, and whether or not that will have a impact like in the first Life is Strange game. Now, if you remember, the whole reason the storm existed in the first place was because Max used her powers to rewind time to save Chloe, and because since she didn't die, the universe has basically backfired and just went out of whack, and it tried to kill Chloe again and again, and with no success, she ended up, what do you call it? The storm ended up coming to take the lives of other people to compensate for Chloe's life, essentially. Get rid of all the thousands of lives so one life can live, essentially. But that life is Chloe's price, so it was worth it in the end. Anyways, I want to talk about Max's power here and whether or not if she uses it again, it will be dangerous. Now, if you remember, like, there's a character in the game called Alyssa, basically, and when you first see her in episode 1, she gets hit in the head with a football, and you can rewind time to stop that from happening. But across other episodes, you'll see her getting hit in the head again and again. In episode 2, she'll get hit with a toilet paper roll. Episode 4, she gets. Episode 3, the car splashes water on her when it drives past, and you can stop that from happening. In episode 4, the dark room, basically, she gets knocked into the pool, and you can stop that from happening as well. And what's interesting is, when you're heading to the Two Whales Diner when the storm's happening, you can warn her and say you have to trust me. But if you've warned her too much, then she'll be like, "No, I know when you're around, I need to keep my distance," and she'll walk backwards and end up falling down the hole, killing herself. Now, I know it's not like the same as Chloe, but like those events are kind of similar because they still happen regardless of whether or not you decide to intervene. But it seems like that's her fate, to constantly be getting hit by things, or pushed. But when you do help her, then that's what happens. She's like, "Max, you helped me. You told me to back away when these happen, so I do." And in the end, that caused her to end up being killed, which is interesting. Now, we haven't actually seen Max use her powers since the events of Life is Strange. Now, in the comics, like in Volume 1, or the Arc 1, known as Dust, we see Max how she's flickering back and forth between timelines, but she's not doing this intentionally. This is like her powers are on the fritz, and all the Maxes are fighting for control, basically, and they're all tearing each other apart for dominancy. Now, if Max were to use her powers, I don't think it would affect anything. There'd be no tornadoes or storms or sharknadoes, firenadoes, calnadoes, whatever. I don't think that would happen because now that Max is in this new timeline, it's where she's meant to be essentially. I can see it happening if she rewinds time to create a new timeline. I can see that happening, but ultimately, will it cause a big, massive destruction of of Seattle? Basically, I don't think so. Why do I keep saying basically? Yeah. So bottom line is, I don't believe Max using her powers to rewind is going to cause any drastic events to happen unless she does something big like save someone's life, or alters the timeline. Like, I mean, for little things, like if she spills coffee on herself and rewinds, or if someone gets hit, she can rewind as well, or if someone, like, crashes a car or trips, she can stop those things from happening, but as long as it's nothing serious, like a person who's involved in death, or altering a timeline to prevent something from happening, or using it for her own personal gain, then I do believe that Max can use her powers without worrying about the consequences of a storm happening. So anyways, that's all I wanted to cover over this theory video. I hope you all enjoyed it, and I'll see you in the next one. This is Total Gamer Junkie, signing off.